Stay tuned for an exclusive interview with Jah'Mila. We are here with Jah'Mila, the wonderful, amazing Jah'Mila. How have you been today?
I've been doing well. Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. So, you ready to jump right in?
Let's do it.
Okay. So, my first question to you, I've heard that music runs in your family and that roughly 6 of your siblings are all into music too. So how has growing up in a small community outside of Kingston, Jamaica helped to form your passions and the passions of your family in music?
That's a great question. I frankly cannot remember a time when I wasn't singing. Singing was just something that came naturally to me. At that point in time, I wasn't concerned about whether or not I was doing it well, but I just can vividly remember the joy it gave me to sing the choir songs, to sing the school songs, even the ads on TV and radio. I was probably the most annoying little singy little kid of all time.
Oh come, that can't be true.
Well, you know they say that artists are entertaining to everyone else except the people they live with. But in any case, then I realized just how deeply it ran with my dad's involvement with music and the contributions he has made to the genre of reggae music, and then to be able to connect with my half siblings on my dad's side who, unbeknownst to me, were also equally enamored by music. To be able to sing and harmonize with them, it was like heaven. It was a little piece of my childhood that was like, you know, those golden memories. That's how it made me feel. I remember getting BET because when I was growing up, I did not have cable. In Jamaica, in the little community that I grew up in, we only had 2 community TV stations. And then I got cable, dude. And I got MTV and BET. And I didn't watch cartoons. It was just music all day. Music all day, every day. So, yeah.
So I guess that would kind of play into how music sort of impacted every day when you were living there.
Totally. So I was always a part of the church choir. Anything music related at school, I was a part of it. Unfortunately, my elementary school did not have a music theory program where I could learn an instrument, but we would have like little choirs and stuff for special events, and I would take every opportunity. I'm going to tell you a funny little story.
Go for it.
So my grandmother and my maternal side of my family, headed by my grandmother, we lived in a little town called Benin, and it was up in the mountains, and so my yard would be on maybe an acre and a half of land with all these trees, and I would stand at the top of the staircase, which was outside, and I would sing, and as the wind would go through the trees and blow the leaves, I would imagine that they were the audience cheering, and then I'd be like, thank you very much, thank you, and then my grandmother would come out and laugh at me and be like, you're crazy.
That's adorable. I love that.
But like, that's the kind of like things I would do with music, yeah. Like in my like playtime.
That's the wonderful thing about imagination, right? It gives you that experience without actually getting that experience, and you know.
But imagine like how these little trees helped me to be able to be ready for my gigs.
Yeah, right? Like, that's something incredible.
I think so.
So, moving away from Jamaica now, you first came to Atlantic Canada to visit some family in Halifax, and shortly after you decided that you'd like to live here. So what about our beautiful coastal home really made you fall in love with it?
I love the Maritimes so much, Halifax specifically, for a number of reasons. There's a certain sort of hospitality that I can only describe as being comparable to Southern hospitality, something similar to what you'd get in the Caribbean, in small families. There are so many parallels between, say, Cape Breton kitchen parties and just like Jamaican partying and family. It's family, it's food, it's music, it's laughs, you know what I mean? And there are so many parallels between those things. Outside of that, this place is beautiful, just like the land, the terrain, the geography of it all. And then let's talk about just the community and just how open and welcome it is to diverse people from different backgrounds. I personally am very grateful for all the opportunities that I've received coming here. I had the opportunity to go back to school. I have a great job in tech as a project manager, and I'm able to now have and direct my own musical project. And I found that those things were much harder. In Jamaica, I didn't quite have a lot of public support for pushing my own thing forward. And I have to say that the Maritimes has helped me to give me the confidence and support I need to move forward. And I mean, the place is not without its faults, but you have to give unto Caesar what's due unto Caesar, because I've traveled to other places in Canada, and we are special over here in the East Coast. Yeah, and I'm proud to be a part of it.
It makes two of us. I'm proud to have you. Very, very proud.
Thank you.
While in Nova Scotia, I guess this might touch on the topic of that hospitality we were talking about.
Okay.
While in Nova Scotia, some of your earliest friends, like Roxy and her band, sort of helped you with that transition into a new country. Totally. So what are some of your highlights, let's say, when you were...
moved here?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I moved here permanently in 2015, and my partner at the time was playing in Roxy's band, playing guitars, and also playing with another popular artist out of Halifax called Jesse Brown. And those guys were really my first foray into the arts community of Halifax. And if the larger Haligonian community is close-knit, the creative community is even more so. They're very tight, very supportive of each other. And after having met Roxy, her band, Jesse Brown, maybe Erin Costello, that was it. Everyone was like, oh, I heard about you. I didn't need any more introductions after that, because you could tell that they were good people and that they were all pretty much aligned. And one person would have a show, and all the other musicians and artists alike would come out and support it. And that's the experience even today, years later, you know what I mean? And I've kind of sat into that whole culture as well, and I really appreciate it. I wouldn't want it any other way. I've done collaborative work with a lot of them as well. I've worked collaboratively with Erin Costello, who is a producer and singer and songwriter herself. I've done gigs with Roxy, Misha Bruger-Gossman from right here in New Brunswick. I've worked with them as well. So it just kind of goes to show just how much we all support each other, regardless of what our main projects are, because they're not always aligned. It's not because, okay, you do reggae, you do gospel, whatever. They don't care. It's just like a community that supports each other. And I love that.
That's another just wonderful thing about the Maritimes. We're all so close-knit, so word of mouth and praising one another, it's just such a common thing, and it really helps build careers and build connections. It's wonderful. And
it's beyond nepotism, because there are a lot of constructive associations. People are not just out there being like, oh, Jah'Mila, you're so great. Oh, you know what I mean? They're like, okay, this is what you can do. Here's a contract. Use that. Or, you know, I saw that person the other day, and they might be a good drummer. Or, you know, they're constructively trying to help you to move from one point to another, and then you feel that sense of responsibility to do the same for others as well.
Yeah. Awesome. I love it. Love to hear it. Changing the subject a little, in 2020 you released a song called Chant Their Names that touches on and critiques police brutality. The arts have a big impact on social change, so what are some of your lyrics or other artists' lyrics that you think are really helping to push the needle towards social change? Oh, there are so many lyrics. Because this is not a new issue. I'm not the only person with a song about this. This has been a thing that has been going on. Let's go all the way back to Curtis Mayfield, Marvin Gaye. Like, let's talk about what's going on. You know what I mean? Let's talk about Sam Cooke. Change is gonna come. You know what I mean? Let's go back there if we want to talk about, you know, stuff like that. But in this time, in response to the atrocities that are more recent, and also focusing a lens on the Maritimes, there is an artist called Owen O'Sound Lee that has a song called Listen. And beyond Chant Their Names, which is my band's contribution, hopefully to create some sort of change in this area, I really love Owen's song Listen. I would, you know, suggest everyone to go and take a listen to that. And there are also other issues as well, other social issues that are not just about race relations, but on a broader spectrum. And a song that recently
really touched me was Bria Isabel's song called Girlfriends. I really like that song so much. And I would just want to encourage people to continue to use their platforms for this kind of change, because it makes a difference. I think it really does.
Absolutely, it does.
Yeah, so yeah, those are the two songs if I had to choose.
Wonderful. I'm going to go home and listen to both of them. Well, I've already heard one, but I'm going to listen to the other one like all night. It's going to be awesome.
Totally. Listen by Owen O'Soundly.
Yeah. Perfect. So, for some musicians, gaining notoriety shifts their focus from the original joy and passion about music to the money, the commercialism. Yeah. So, what helps you stay grounded and just hold on to your passion for the music itself?
Yeah, that's a great question. At this point, I'm poised. I'm telling you, not only me, my team, we're poised to be able to suck what we can out of money, because people are now getting a wind of us and becoming aware of us. And we're now poised to be able to, if we wanted to capitalize on it, this is the time. But I'll tell you something. Popular music has always made me feel very dejected, because I always felt like I had to be something other than myself. And whenever I have to put on some sort of face, it doesn't make me happy. You know what I mean? So for me to be able to preserve this relationship that I have with this thing I can't touch, I have to approach it as myself. I have to approach it with all the authenticity that I have. And I have to remember that little girl singing on the staircase to the trees. The one that didn't want to be paid, but just wanted to sing. And I still want to sing. Don't tell them, I would do it for free. It's the truth. It's the truth. And every time that we get a platform to share our messages, I'm that more grateful for the opportunity to share, even more so than the check, you know? I like the check, but I also... No, but
don't we all?
I would be singing. I promise you, I would be singing, even if I had no audience. I would still be singing. So how do I manage to maintain that focus and vision? I have a full-time job. I am a project manager at a tech company, and I have not yet made that very big decision to approach music as my full-time job, for fear that if I do so, I'll have to change myself, and I'd have to do what I think would sell versus what would make my heart sing.
That's such a powerful message. There really is something to say about just being yourself. It's the key to your happiness almost, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And the truth is, yeah, I just want people to want to hear what I have to say and like the singing and like the music. And if I had 5 people who were like, I support you, I like what you do, I just like sell my merch to those 5 people.
Yeah.
I'd be okay. I'd be okay.
Absolutely. Okay. So, on a similar note, what are some challenges, or like, let's say, lessons that you've learned that have really helped you overcome obstacles on your journey?
That's a great question. And there are 2 main categories of it. On the fly, I'm just going to try to give the categories name. So there's a lot of internal battles, a lot of like coming to terms with all those things I shared with you before. Imagine me at 16, 17, 18 trying to be like, okay, are we going to take that direction, or are we just going to just like forge ahead in my individuality? Am I going to, try to be a Beyonce, for example? You know what I mean? Because it works and there's a formula there. Am I going to sign up to a label? Like, am I going to go to school and do music? Like, these were like big decisions as I was, because as you know, music has been an inseparable part of my life, but there was definitely a decision to, okay, I'm not going to pursue this as the full-time job. And one of the reasons too is because in Jamaica, there wasn't a lot of social support for the creative scene and for the arts. And now I'm in Canada, and there's a world of like grants and all these things, and this is something that I've also had to learn. So this takes me out of like, okay, me coming to terms with how I am going to develop as an artist and my inner emotions about all of that. to, okay, how am I going to actually make this record? Where are the resources going to come from? So there's like, okay, trying to figure out, how do you fund this? How do you keep, because then it really informs a lot of decisions about how you approach music. Another thing is your team. I could not have done what I have done to this point without a supportive team of people, because no man is an island. And when I came to Halifax, there's this team that kind of surrounded themselves without being asked. They're like, I might like your stuff. And then they come and they show up to rehearsals every week. So these are the kinds of challenges, and I don't want to call them challenges. It's just considerations, because the word challenges shed a sort of negative light on things. It's like, oh, it's a challenge, and it creates a sort of a little bit of a mental block. It's just considerations you have to make. Interpersonal considerations, logistical considerations, team-wise considerations, because those are the things that make the difference between success, stagnation, and failure. So yeah, those are some considerations.
Some considerations
in my journey, and I'm still having them as I move forward every day.
Absolutely. I think that's a good lesson to share with any upcoming musicians or artists in any field, that you will face considerations that, you got to work logically around it. It's work with a team, and I love that. Yeah.
Totally. One of the things is to approach these considerations. Because they might be the difference between you staying stagnant for 5 years wanting to do that thing and never doing it. Yes, step right into it and have it slap you around a bit. You learn. You'll either learn or win.
Yeah. Another good lesson. There's no losing. You are either learning or winning. So, hey, very inspiring. So recently you have shifted to bringing music education to schools. Can you tell us a little about that?
Oh, totally. Let's talk about imposter syndrome.
Oh.
Let's start there. I want to start there because in 2018, I got the opportunity to work on a little project through Music Nova Scotia called Orchestrated Neighbors. And what they did was they took diverse artists that were underrepresented in the community and they put them together. I got the opportunity to work with an amazing rapper called Todd Gugu from Cape Breton, shift from the 902. And also Zamani, Cindy Kane, and Mars Marsman. And they put us into teams, and then they say come up with a song, and then you'll work with an orchestral team to put orchestra on top of it. So you find all these people coming from different communities with their own creativity. And I thought that was really cool. I signed up for it and did the whole thing. Out of that project, I have a song with Zamani and Todd called Together We Can. Please stream it on all the streaming platforms. It's there for you to listen to. What that did was it opened up a whole door into the world of orchestral music. I had an opportunity to work with a conductor called Daniel Bartholomew Poiser, and he does a lot of orchestral fusion and for youths. So bringing them some exposure and experience into this field. And I think he thought that it might be helpful for me, and he was completely correct. I ended up being able to do several fusion series with Symphony Nova Scotia, and that manifested into something with the National Arts Centre. So what they did was, without even knowing my background or questioning anything, just on the merit of the work I did with Symphony Nova Scotia and Music Nova Scotia, engaged me to be like, tell your story. Because I said to them, I don't know if I'm like, are you sure? Me? They're like, no, you share your experience because you do have a unique experience, not only in music, but with the genre. I'm like, well, I don't read music. Like, are you sure? And they're like, yes. And I want to tell you, we spent maybe 6 months and we designed a reggae educational program that, through the lens of the orchestra and through the lens of my personal experience growing up in the community, being able to share the fundamentals of the genre. How does reggae sound? Who's responsible for it? How does it correlate with the community? How has it impacted popular genres of our time, like rave, EDM, rap music, hip hop? And And it's done and launched. Now, imposter syndrome, because I never in a million years, if you asked me 5 years ago if I would have contributed to a pedagogical guide and to a reggae educational program at this level, I'd be like, no way. But we did it, and I'm really proud of it. And at this point, it's launched, and we're trying to get it out there into schools. So please go to the NAC website and register your school or community for it. It's free of cost. It's aimed at Canadian students from grade 4 to grade 8, but anyone can do it. So yes, that's kind of what's going on.
You heard her. Go do it. So I guess while we're sort of here, are there any other ways you're making connections with youth outside of the schools and programs?
Absolutely. So I have just recently performed at my first high school gig. I'm so nervous because I'll tell you something. High school kids are brutally honest.
I second that.
I know. I'm like, if they don't like me, I am toast. But it was really encouraging. I've also had the opportunity to be a guest lecturer at Dalhousie for a creative writing course under the tutelage of Heather Jessup. And just recently, I've been what should I say? Working with a high school student, a specific one, with the job shadowing. So this is my first time doing that, but they happened to see my performance with the Symphony Nova Scotia doing a Nina Simone tribute, and went through the proper channels through the schools to make the connection. And so we're actively doing that now, and I'm really enjoying having this relationship with this 16-year-old, hearing what their vision is and sharing what my experiences are. And you know what, I don't always have the best experiences, but hopefully if I am brutally honest and share what my considerations and experiences are, maybe it can be of some benefit. Yeah.
Wonderful. I love it. Next question is going to be, your father has had remarkable success in the music industry. So how do you go about showing your individuality?
This is a great question, and it's something that I've struggled with over the years. When I just started having or pursuing my own solo career, you know, with my own music and creativity, I always felt tethered to his experiences and his accomplishments, because it was something that was recognizable. People could put a finger on it. I'd be like, oh, well, I'm China's daughter. And people, oh, I know him, or he played on that song. And I felt like it was something I had to do to validate me sitting in the room. But with all these like orchestral things and just like school performances and releases, and I've developed some confidence to feel like I don't have to tether my story to his anymore. It's still very relevant because I have the exposure afforded me at an early age has definitely helped to form the foundations of my story, clearly. And I'm not going to discount how incredibly accomplished he is. But at this point in time, I'm going to use his experience as inspiration to create my own. And I feel like I'm on the right track with that, especially after moving here. I feel like also living in Jamaica made it harder to escape that shadow. But now I'm in my own world in some sort of a way. And so I feel liberated from that. The last I spoke with him about my last gig with Symphony Nova Scotia, he called and he's like, I heard you're doing great things, and I'm really, really proud of you. And I'm like, yeah. And he wasn't there to oversee it or to direct it. And I'm like, yes, thank you, Daddy. That means a lot, you know? Yeah, it means a lot. Yeah.
You're going to bring a tear to my eye. That's
I know,
so sweet.
I'm growing. I'm growing up, dudes.
Oh, gonna need a minute from that. Oh wow.
I know, right? Yeah, but and it's evidence of growth. It's evidence of personal growth in my career, and when you don't feel the need to validate your own experience through the eyes of someone else. Yeah.
Beautiful. Like there's no other word I can describe it. It's amazing to hear all of it. And
Thank you.
So, as an artist who has such diversity and talent, how do you avoid being pigeonholed as a musician?
Oh, this is a great question. You have the best questions.
Thank you.
So I love music. I love all sorts of music. There's something that happens when, Spotify or Apple Music does its random play and you hear that one song that stops you in your tracks. You know what I mean? And you know how I respond to those songs? Mm-hmm. I learn them and I sing them because that's as one does, right? Mm-hmm. But when you're from Jamaica and you're tethered again to a certain culture, it's quite easy for people to be like, oh, she's a reggae singer. But I show up, man. You're gonna see me at the jazz club on a Wednesday night in Halifax. You're gonna see me down on Bailey's on a Tuesday at Blues Night, and I'm showing up. And it's like, yes, you're gonna pigeonhole me, and it makes sense, I guess, from a branding perspective. And I love sharing my culture, but I'm going to push the button and I'm going to push the bar on anyone who's trying to limit me, and I'm going to go sing my gospel song, man. What are you talking about? And I'm going to go sing my blues song. There is certainly a strategy that I have to take when doing my releases, right? But we have to remember that I am in it for the music, and it's for the love of the music, and that's on a general level. And it includes everything. I'm all inclusive when it comes on to music. And if you want to pigeonhole me, that's your prerogative. But I'm sure not pigeonholing myself. I'm not doing it. Because I love singing. I love singing every sort of genre, from jazz to blues to gospel to dance hall to trap. Come on now.
Okay, well, I think that's everything we have for today.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for joining us, Jah'Mila.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. It was really, really fun.
It's been an absolute pleasure. I cannot tell you enough how inspiring and incredible this has been.
Thank you.
If you want to know more about Jah'Mila, her music, and all the extra work that she does, you can find all of her socials in the links below. Not only is she a musician, but she's also a producer. Be sure to check out her documentary, The Orchard by Arcadia Entertainment, Black Bear's Red Tape, and Black Files Declassified. We are incredibly thankful that Jah'Mila came out to talk to us today. Be sure to go and immerse yourself in all of her works and show her a world of support on behalf of us.